the money that they need. Also, further, especially this one here, the legislature finds it that they shall continue to make this school an operational public elementary school at the current location and facilities of FQ Sunsis, which is located at 156 San Dionisio Street within the village of Yamarak, unless it becomes practicable. I think I'll just rather bring this issue up here, but it's a nice school. It could be kept for a historical purpose, but I echo somebody's sentiment at one time that they need to build a new school in Yamarak. And I therefore find it that every village in Guam should have an elementary school, including Yamarak. So we need a new school, a school that is located in a proper place where our children can have ample space for playground. And we're very fortunate that the school has been here for so many years, and there has not been a recorded accident or incident that have taken place with the children and the motorists that pass by this road here. In the morning, motorists, especially traveling from Lariso, don't seem to know what this place is. They zoom by here like as if nothing exists around here. So I recommend that the legislature should look into it and build a school for Yamarak, another school that is safe and sound for our children. Therefore, senators, like again I said, I commend you two for taking front run on this issue here, and I am really for the keeping the school of Yamarak. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. First off, before you guys leave, let me recognize my colleague, Senator Frank Uggan, in case anybody here didn't know who this was. I want to thank him for coming down. I suppose on a Saturday morning you can see, never mind, I was going to say mean things about people that weren't here, but I won't do that. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody from this community coming out. This school has always been near and dear to my heart, and this isn't the first time that I've tried to protect it and make sure that it stays open so that all the children of Yamarak have an opportunity to go to a school they can call their own. And what a fine school it is. Gentlemen, like from the Preserve Historic Trust, I have a question for you. Sometimes folks say, well, let's not make it a school and we'll just turn it into something else and keep the building open. What do you think of that opinion?
That opinion is, what it does is it institutionalizes our culture. If you make it open for other things other than we should live, go to school here, and keep it as a school rather than as a museum for other usages. I think it was meant for a school, it was designed for a school, and it should be a school.
Thank you.
If I could, I agree with what Joe said. I think that we have to remember that there are very specific activities and emotions that are attached to an elementary school that is this revered by the community. So it becomes really like the heart of the village. When you change that activity, you're changing how people view their village, and I don't think that we can do that very lightly. I mean, Yamarak is a very definable village. I mean, everybody here, they understands what it is that they love about this village. So again, if you were to change that use, this is an opportunity for children for the community to watch their children go to school, watch them grow up. And there's that real bond that you form with the building, and that the building becomes representative to the community. So the whole purpose of the building from the beginning was for education, and it was located in such a way that, again, the community was very tied to what was happening to their children. I don't think we shouldn't change that without really understanding what the long-term ramifications are going to be. So the best use, I believe, will always be for an educational facility at property.
Thank you. Senator Uggan, do you have any questions for the panel?
Thank you very much, Senator Rector, and good morning, folks. And good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for providing your testimony this morning. By the way, Uncle Frank, it wasn't too difficult to drive down from Zonya, because Zonya is also part of the South. So I just wanted to clear that for the record. First of all, I need to thank Senator Rector for bringing this public hearing to the community rather than having it up at the public hearing. I think that says a lot about his character, but most importantly, I think it says a lot about how he has approached this issue. That the community of Umatak, really the community, the people who reside here are the ones that should render a decision whether in fact this is going to be this will continue to remain as a school facility or whether we would consider other options. I was speaking to, I want to thank Ms. Manabusen and Ms. Tainatongo for their presence, the board members here, because they're at least listening to some of the concerns and the statements being made here. And one of the concerns from their perspective is budgetary. One of their biggest concerns from their perspective will always be budgetary. Regardless as to what they look at, they're looking for ways to reduce the costs. Now, when it comes to appropriations, when it comes to finding the money, when it comes to making sure that the Department of Education gets the resources, guess where that responsibility lies? It lies right here with members of the legislature. So I want to encourage the board members to seriously listen to the concerns of the community members. If this was not an issue, Mr. Chairman, with the members of this community, all of these parents, as well as their children, would have left the public hearing by now. But they're concerned about making sure that, in fact, they listen to the statements that are being provided on this legislation and that they can at least have that assurance to find out what direction the legislature will be taking. Now, when I look at this school and you look at evidence, there's a particular law in place, and I know the board members are very familiar with this. There's a law in place that was instituted about 6 years ago, which sets maximum school population levels for the elementary, for the middle schools, and for the high schools. Any schools that are constructed after that time frame has to meet that population restriction. Then you ask yourself the question, why? Why was that instituted, and why did I initially support that? Because when it's been scientifically proven that when your school population is at in excess of those limits that were identified by law, that in fact the learning curve declines. Unfortunately, because of the lack of the more direct one-on-one schooling and education in that environment. Well, I refer to that and I bring that down to Umatak and to FQ Sanchez Elementary School. You have a school population based on the 45 certificates. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at 70th percentile, that's not 70th percentile in Guam elementary schools. That's not 70th percentile in Guam public schools. That's the 70th percentile nationwide across the entire United States of America, inclusive of the state of Hawaii and inclusive of the state of Alaska. So that's something to be extremely proud of. But when it was mentioned that 45 students had reached and exceeded the 70th percentile in their test scores in the last school year's population, that percentage, ladies and gentlemen, is 57% of every single student that went to FQ Sanchez Elementary School last year exceeded the 70th or reached the 70th percentile across the nation.